About time.
You know I got you. I'm here.
How long you been waiting for this to drop?
A while, but it's a lot of work went into this. Took a little time off, some personal things, and going through life. And Prince was like, write about it, write about your love, write about your loss, write about everything. Put it into the music, and let me know when it's ready. I want to hear it. And I got to play it for him, and he loved it, and was like, go get him. And that's what I'm gonna go do. So it's time. It's time.
Walk folks through the process, if you will, when it comes to putting together and releasing an album, because it's unlike anything else, and it's a different process for different artists.
Absolutely. And for myself, Prince was all about ownership, and that's something I learned from him. And this album is self-financed. It's all me. I'm independent. I don't have a big label behind me writing me checks, financing things. I put all of myself into this. So for me, I definitely put more time, more energy. You don't delegate, it's you. So I'm bringing together producers, I'm bringing together musicians. I'm not only writing the songs and co-writing the songs and doing the music and doing the singing, but then there's the business part of it. And I learned so much of that from him, because he was all about that, really the whole thing, knowing how you want it to be and how you want it to look. And so that's, it's a task and can be a lot of work, but I'm so proud of it now that the work is done, and I can stand knowing that, man, I learned so much from him and put it into making this. So I'm super proud of the music, and I know everything that went behind making it. So the people are ready for it. They've been ready for 3 years, and I'm ready to give them what they want.
Why did you choose to go this route?
Well, first of all, no label knocked down my door. And Prince says sometimes, the best artists, they don't sign. And he would tell me that. He goes, you're one of the best singers and songwriters I've ever worked with. And he goes, we're going to get you out there, and I'm going to make sure I give you a platform, and everyone can see you. So that's why he always pushed me out there, and he always wanted me to be seen. He gave me a global platform. And I trust God in all things. And I'm like, this is the way my path is supposed to go. This gave me control, and I love that. Yes, it made me have to dig deeper, both financially and with my resources, but God provided those resources. Prince provided those resources, and he gave me the blueprint to know exactly how to do this. And so now, with the help of the public, with the help of the internet, with the help of social media, I can get my music to people. They can get it, they can go online, they can buy it just like that. I mean, it's super simple.
I've heard people say Shelby J was Prince's understudy.
Yeah, I like to say I was the Robin to his Batman. That's what I say.
And what and what was that experience like?
Wow, it was the most magnificent thing ever. I'm from a small town. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I was singing everywhere there. I was singing with different people. When I got with Prince, he elevated me to a level.
Now, how did that happen? I mean, how did y'all connect?
That happened through Larry Graham. I was on break. I was singing with Anthony Hamilton, and Anthony and I had performed with D'Angelo. And when Anthony got his deal, he was like, Shelby, you coming with me? I was like, okay, that's my North Carolina boy, my brother. And I was on a 2-week break. Larry Graham needed a singer for 1 gig. My girlfriend Sandra, who worked with Lettucey, was like, he goes, I need a singer that can learn 13 songs in like 2 days. Sandra was like, Shelby. So she reached out to me. I said, I'm on break. I went, met Larry Graham, who's now like my second dad, and he said, well, we're gonna rehearse. We were rehearsing at Paisley Park. I was like, I'm in Paisley Park rehearsing. Prince wasn't even there. He was in Vegas, and I found out the gig was gonna be in Vegas at 3121, and he was doing his residency there. He saw me singing with Larry in sound check, and someone kept calling to sing. I was doing High Ground, and I sing it once, and I heard a voice say, sing it again. And I thought it was the sound guy or the producer getting the sound straight or whatever, and I sang it again, and Larry kept playing, so I kept singing. I did it like 4 or 5 times, top to bottom. And then Prince comes from the back, and that's how I met him, and he was like, you're a great singer. And I was like, thank you very much. And then he went away, and we did the gig that night. Prince came on stage, jammed with us, and the next day I left, 2 days later, I'm getting a call. I'm sitting at Walmart with my sister, and Prince calls me. Well, his people call me, and they're like, we want you to come back out here, and Prince is going to send you some songs to learn. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's going to send me these 7 songs. When am I leaving? He goes, I need you in the morning. I need you to be on a plane in the morning coming back out to Vegas. And I was like, okay, Prince, okay. You don't say no to Prince. And so I was just blown away that.
Now, did you have to tell Anthony?
Yeah, but see what had happened was, what's so cool was when I called Anthony, he was like, yo, Shell, he said, I would quit my own band to sing Prince's band. Okay? I said, that's real talk. So he was happy for me and proud of me, and he's always been super supportive. And he's actually going to be doing a song with me on this record. It's a little surprise. But Prince called us peanut butter and jelly. He was like, y'all should always sing together. He was like, you are like the Roberta and Donnie of your generation. You don't even know it yet. And I was like, okay, Prince. So yeah, but that's how that happened, and we rocked for 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years. It's crazy when I look at the Super Bowl, and I was like, that was 2007, and and I do the math, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And this year, everybody was like, oh, it's been 10 years. Yeah, the Super Bowl was my first big gig with him nationally. A lot of people didn't even know I was singing with Prince because they had seen me with Anthony, and the next thing you know, Shelby's on stage at the Super Bowl. Well, I didn't have time to tell nobody. He snatched me up, and next thing you know, I was, a month later after the Vegas, I was at the Super Bowl.
And you're there hopping around on stage.
In all
it's
white.
Raining.
In all white.
In all
the
white.
rain. Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, Lord, don't slip and knock Prince off the stage into the band, and the twins are spinning, and I had on like 5-inch boots, and it was something.
Everybody still talks about how in the world y'all were able to do all of that on a stage and it's raining in those high heels.
Yeah, electric guitars, all of the instruments we played. Now see, there was not lip singing. We don't do that. It's live. It's real instruments, and I think that's probably the only Super Bowl where there were literally like 8 people on a stage. That's it. Not 30 dancers and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's playing, and the equipment stopped working after. Even Morris Hayes, our musical director, was like, we donated the equipment, and some of the equipment didn't even work. It worked during the whole show. We had no issues with anything. He's playing electric guitar. I'm like, please, or like electricity. It's got storms and stuff, and everything worked for the whole show. And then after we were done, that's when the equipment was like, okay, we done, I'm out. God was like, I'm gonna give y'all that, do that, and then equipment.
So for that to be, your first major deal, I mean, it's the Super Bowl.
I was done. Like I told him, and I said, look, I'm good. I was good with that. If he never called me again to do anything else, Shelby was good. But I told him, I said, if you keep calling, I'm gonna keep showing up. And that was it, because there were people like, oh, Prince changed his band every month. Get it while you can, girl. Have a good time, because next month, he might have other singers. And I said, you know what? I'm grateful and I'm thankful to be here. This has been a long road to get here. I didn't just wake up and start singing with Prince at the Super Bowl. So whatever happens, this is my journey. This is my journey and my walk. And as long as I'm supposed to be with him, I'm gonna be with him. And when I'm not, I'm not. And I mean, it was awesome. I'm looking at it there. It was awesome.
You talk about riding with him, but also he had your back as well. So 2014, he performs at Essence Music Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Our cameras were there shooting some of that as well. But when it was over, you performed at the House of Blues. And so I met Van Jones and others, and then of course got there, was sitting in the VIP section with Prince and Google Mbatha Raw, and so in fact at one point he came on stage to play with the band while you were performing.
Yeah, super. I mean, he was super supportive, and the thing is, he'd be like, go get him. Like, he trained us. We would rehearse sometimes 10, 11, 12 hours a day, and he's like, I'm getting you ready. I'm getting you ready for what's next. I'm not always going to be here. You're not going to always be in my band. This is, like he told Adrian Crutchfield, he's like, this is for now. I'm preparing you for what's next. I like to tell people I got my PhD. That's where I went to school. I got my PhD right there, Paisley Park University, and when he would come on stage with us, he would get so much joy from just playing guitar, watching us do what he taught us to do, and how he elevated us from the singer I was when I came with to his band in 2000 into 2006 to what he saw me become, like at Essence 2014, and like, yeah, Shelby, go get him. And he was hard on us, but it made us better. He raised the bar. You know, I thought I was here, but he really raised the bar. And even with him not being here now, and I feel like he's with me every day. I hear him in my head. He's a part of every decision I make. He's a part of people I talk to, people I don't talk to, just moves that I make, because he trained us to know. And I'm like, we're like his disciples, you know, Liv Warfield, Judith Hill, like we know what he wanted us to do, and we're going to be fearless about it. We're not going to ask permission to do it. We're going to go out there and do exactly what he trained us to do. And I know he is smiling and he is super happy, like, yes, those are my girls. Go get them.
How did you get adjusted to his crazy schedule? So it was NBA All-Star Game weekend, 2011 in LA, and I'm at Diddy's party, and it's craziness. Never even got inside because it was just madness outside. And I get a text message from Sean Robinson, and she says, "Hey, you want to come to a party at Prince's house?"
I love Sean.
And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And it was a trip. So
let me see.
My wife was bothered with the whole Diddy deal. She's like, "Look, I just want to get something to eat, and I'll think about it." And I was like, "You think all you want to. I know we going to this party." So we roll up in McDonald's, order some food, and I put it in the GPS. I'm looking at her like, I don't care what mood you in.
We going to this party.
Right. You may have a lip upturned. We going to this party. And so it was at his house in Bel Air. So we go to the party, and it's only about 30 or some odd people there.
Oh yeah.
And then
he was selective.
Yeah.
He was very selective. People don't even know he was super selective about who he let in his personal space.
And Sean said he didn't like it if you didn't come to his house and not dance.
Oh no, it's none of that sitting around wallflower, none of that.
So I'm sitting here on the dance floor. So we walk in, and you know I'm from Texas. You don't walk in somebody's house and not speak.
That's
whose
right.
house it is.
That's proper.
And so can't find him anywhere. And so I'm like, I don't know where he is. He's behind. He was over there playing the drums to the DJ.
Of course he was.
And so then, so I'm like, DJ was spinning. Well, I'm a dance.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here grooving. The next thing I know, this little short dude walking behind me and goes, "You can really dance.
Yeah.
You're welcome to my house anytime."
Because he was always watching.
He's like, "You're welcome to my house anytime." And I was like, "Cool, appreciate that. I go back to dancing."
Yeah.
So y'all, this is a true story. I'm not lying. So all of a sudden, about 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden, folks start out here, DJ still playing, and then all of a sudden, a keyboard come out and guitars come out, and then a drummer come out, and
time for the show.
Folks are plugging up, and y'all put on almost a 3-hour concert. You and Liv were the singers.
Oh yeah.
That thing went to almost 6 a.m.
Yeah, and then we had breakfast. It's beautiful. Let's do it, because it's what we love to do. And I tell people this is what I love to do.
When did y'all sleep?
Gosh, sometimes during the day, but you know,
brother was nocturnal.
He was. You find your time to get your little space in, but you get so used to it, your body adjusts to that schedule, because that's just what it was, and it was just so much fun. It was an adventure, and I get home, we get back to North Carolina, and I tell people, I'm like, don't even call me, because I'm resting, because I'm getting ready for this, because when we would go, we would just go, you know, touring, doing a 3-hour show, then doing a 3-hour after show, then I hang for those that he wanted to bring back to hang, and then it's like, then we sleep because our work is done. And he's like, we're not always going to be able to do this, so we have to do it. We have to do it now. And I was like, okay, there was a sense of urgency. Like, we have to do this, and we love doing it. Even when your feet hurt, even when your voice, you losing your voice, I'm sipping my throat coat, I'm doing my stuff. It's like, this is what I know I was born to do. He knew he was born to do it. So it's like, this is what we have to do. And include the people around us. It's all about energy, and he was all about energy. And you can feel a person's energy when you walk into a room or when they walk into a room. And you know, he knew that, especially with inviting people into his home, and that was very special. It was very, very special. And I knew that if I saw anybody there, that okay, there was something that he felt coming from you where he felt open enough to open himself up, you know, and he could trust you. There was a sense of trust, you know. So
was there ever, so the 10 years, how often do you say, I'm actually kicking it with Prince? I mean, because there are very few. The reason I say that, when you think about musicians and entertainers, a lot of people who are performers, but there are very few people who are at such a high level, an iconic level, that other artists would bow down in their presence.
Yeah, he was always
one of those people. I mean, other cats who were major, and you like, you know, you look like a groupie.
I watched Tom Cruise lose it. I mean, the biggest stars, when he would walk into a room, it's like he was the biggest star. The biggest stars became fans, straight up fans, like, oh my God, it's Prince. Or they'd be trying to act real cool, but it's like, oh my God, it's Prince. And they're looking and watching, you know, as we go by. But for me, the cool thing is I was always Shelby, and he always let me be Shelby. And from all the people telling me, you know, be like this, do this, I was raised, my mother and father raised me to, you know, they always said, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. You're going to be who you are wherever you go. And I think Prince loved that about me, that I kept it so real with him. And I was a country girl, am still a country girl. And being around him in that space, sometimes I would sit and think about myself singing back in Greensboro somewhere. And I would sit and I would look at him, because we talked a lot about everything that I did and how I got there and places I played and everything. He goes, everything you did was to bring you to this place. It was all part of your journey. It had to happen to bring you here. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be in this time and space. And I'm like, okay. He goes, and we're going to the BET Awards next week. I'm like, all right, and you're gonna be be going with me. And that was kind of like my coming out to the world. And I was just like, Prince is, you know, my girlfriend Jania Frederique told me, she said, we're all fans of Prince, but Prince was a fan of yours. How does that feel? And I was like, wow, you know, it's just, I feel honored and humbled and grateful and just beyond thankful that he chose me to be in his space. He taught me so much. He's still blessing me. Even though he's not here physically, he's still blessing me, and doors are opening, and I have this worldwide fan base. This is my first record I'm about to put out, and people know me all over the globe, and he did that. He gave me that platform. So I'm super thankful, you know, and it's hard to even put into words, but sometimes I feel them everywhere, you know, and I'm like, I listen to the music and I'm like, that's Prince. I'm like, that was my boy, that's my brother, you know. Even driving up here, you know, we're listening to like Raspberry Beret, and I listen to all his music different because of our personal relationship. But I'm like, God, you chose me to be in his space. He chose me to be in his space. And I'm just super grateful for that, because of all of the singers, there are a lot of singers that hit higher notes than I hit, singers that, you know, do all this kind of stuff, but for some reason he chose me to be in that space with him. And I'm like, this is Prince. Van
Jones said the final year and the final months of his life were interesting and unique.
Yeah. Very interesting and unique. He was always, I would always say, Prince was always way ahead of us. He was way ahead of everybody. So we be in 2015, he was already in like 2030, 2040. He just knew things, and you could see it, you could feel it. And he would say a lot of things. I think that he knew, this is just me personally saying this, I've never even said this before. I think that he knew his time on this earth was limited. I think that he knew he had some things he wanted to do and get done. We talked about the piano and a microphone tour. He had done everything. He had done the big bands, he had done this, he had done that. And he came to me almost apologetic, like, I'm about to do this because I wasn't gonna be working. He was concerned about me, you know, he goes, but this will give you time to finish your record. This will give you time to do the things you need to do. I'm like, absolutely. He goes, it's just gonna be me and a piano and a microphone. I was like, that's beautiful, because people could get to see the part of Prince that I got to see. They could get that intimate part of him. He talked about his dad. He talked about stuff he never talked about before. And this was all leading up to, you know, April. Everything leading up to that. Even the first concert in January that I was there with him, and we hung out all night long, and we talked about life, and we talked about the future, and I played my record for him, all but 2 songs, and he was just watching him listen and take it in and tell me, oh, you need to fix this part or do this. But it's like he was giving me instruction, almost like he knew he needed to tell me things. it's something, because my dad, who passed in 2010, did some similar things about 5 months leading up to his death. There was, and I could really look at those parallels because I went through it with my father. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. I think that I think he knew he had something to say, and I think that piano and microphone tour was his opportunity to do that, because he got super deep, super personal, stuff he never shared with anybody. He was sitting there sharing stories about his childhood and about, like I said, his father, and he just opened up. He was like, it's my time to just open up. You could feel it.
April 21st.
April 21st. Yeah.
Walk us through that day.
That day, I was at home in North Carolina, and I was working out of my neighborhood, walking in the morning, and I had my music on my phone, and all these text messages start coming through my phone. I could feel it vibrating, but I wasn't looking at it because I was like, it's too early. I don't know who's texting me, but they have to wait. And at a point, I said, this is just too much. Something's up. And I looked, and it was like emergency, call me. And the first text message was, trying to remember who exactly texted me first. I don't even remember who texted me first, but I finished walking. I walked back home, and I got home, and my mom knew. I told her, I said, something's up, something's wrong at Paisley. Something's wrong with Prince. And then my phone started ringing, and I found out that he was gone, and I didn't want to believe it, and it just felt like it felt like my chest exploded. It felt like my chest exploded, and I went numb, and I was numb. And then Elisa called me, another vocalist in the MPG. So I'm sitting there on the floor answering calls with answers I don't have to tell people, but that was always my thing. Prince was like, you're the glue. With everything, he would always call me, and I'd have to call the girls and call everyone else. So when something would happen, they would naturally call Shelby will know. Shelby will know what's up if it's an internet hoax or something wonky, because it hadn't broken on the news, yet. But I just let Lisa know. I was like, this is real. He's gone, and I don't know everything, but I gotta go. And I talked to Tamar, and then I dropped my phone, and my mom came, and it's kind of like all I remember for a minute, because I was on the floor. It just hurt so bad. I loved him so much, and he loved me so much, and it just hurt. It hurt a lot, and I couldn't. I didn't even know what to say, and there were like news cameras, showing up at the house, like maybe an hour. I've never experienced anything like this in my life, and I didn't know even what to do. And my manager, thank God for her, for putting out fires, because it's like, to a lot of people, Prince was a huge star to them, and I get their interest, and I get them wanting to talk about it. I understand that, but when my daddy died, I didn't want to talk about it that night either. I'm grieving, and you have to give a person time to grieve. Everyone grieves differently, and respectfully, for people that could talk and could do things, that's cool. But my relationship with Prince was that where it felt, like I said, like someone just ripped my heart out of my chest. I didn't know what to say, and I couldn't talk. There was nothing to talk about. It was just I just had to grieve. I had to cry. I had to, just for days, I had to just cry and just be alone and with my family and just try to figure this out, because he was such a big part of my world, and it was just, he was just physically gone just like that, you know. And I was in shock, I think, for days, you know. And I thank God for my faith and my family that I could rely on, because I had been through a lot in the last 4 years, and Prince helped me through that. I went through heartbreak. I went through my father's death. Prince was there for all of this major stuff that happened to me. Prince was there for it. He was there for my father's death. He was there when I got married. He was there when that fell apart and my heart was broken out of my chest. He was there for me. He was there to pick up the pieces. So he was a major part of not just my work life, but of my life, my real life. You know, he would check on mama and ask me about my sisters by name, you know. So it was like losing a family member. That's how it felt. Like I felt when my daddy died. That's how it felt. So, you know, and I still have my days where I get super sad, but I know that I'm walking in the path that he wanted me to walk, and it inspires me and it pushes me now more than ever, because I know what he wanted me to do, and I know he's watching, and I hear him in my head like, Shelby, you're still there. You know what you have to do. I'll see you on the other side. I'm all right. And I hear that and I'm like, okay, you know, but it took a minute for that. You know, it took a minute for me to get to that. It's almost been a year. We're coming up on a year. But it took months of prayer and just contemplation and just a lot to get to this, what you see now, to get to this space.
Well, because I had reached out that day, and your manager responded.
Yeah, I was a mess.
And for a long time, I mean, long that you just could not talk about any of this. No,
it was just too. It was too difficult to talk about without crying and just being a mess, because I had to process it and I had to pray over it. Prince comes to me in my dreams quite often. I remember that night he was in my dream. He comes to me often, and it's just, and he speaks to me. He tells me things, and it's not a weird, scary thing. It's a beautiful thing. It makes me still feel connected with him, and through that was part of the healing process. And through all of the time, you know, time heals grief. You never get over losing someone that you love, but time, they say, just give it time, just give it time, just give it time. It gets easier to talk about it, and you can self-reflect. Like if you had talked to me that first week, it would have been maybe 2 words, because I had to self-reflect and really kind of get into my own heart and mind about how this made me feel, losing someone who was so important to me, and what was next. Like, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my heart, our just everything? Like, what do you know? Reaching for the phone, wanting to call someone, wanting them to pick up. Like, what do you do? And it was very. It was just odd. There was no blueprint to it. I didn't, you know, until you go through something like this, nobody can, you know, there's no blueprint for it. But you know, I'm on the other side of it now, and I'm thankful, like I said, for my faith and my family. And he's still with me. You know, he's still with me. He's always in my heart, and he's with us now. I know he's happy that I'm talking to you, because he dug you. He said you were real. You know, he's like, Roland's a real brother. And he respected that. You know, he respected that. He didn't like yes people. He liked me because I wasn't a yes person. It's like, no, Prince, 1 + 1 is not 4. You know, it's 2. You have to have people around you that will call you on your own stuff and that will keep it real and tell you the truth. And you respect that, you know. And I know he's happy that I'm here talking to you. And this is really my first national kind of talking about this with people. I talked at home a little bit, you know, when I was on the radio station and things, but really getting down deep and digging. This is the first time I felt comfortable doing it in this with you like this, and you know, it's good.
You also went through the emotional roller coaster when we found out how he died. And I talked to so many people who were close to him, and they said, I simply had no idea.
Yeah, a lot of times, and you know, and I'll just say this about that. A lot of times, you know, we all go through things that people don't really know about. Like I said, a lot of people now still call me and ask me, you know, how's your husband? And I'm like, I don't know. Call him and find out. I don't really know how. I hope he's fine. I pray for him. But you know, that's no longer his title. So what I'm saying is, people go through things and you don't even know because you're not there with them like that. But when it comes to that, I trust God in all things, not just things I understand. Most importantly, and Mama, most importantly, the things that I don't understand, the things I can't wrap my brain around, that's when you have to trust him the most. And when you say you trust him and you give it to him, you got to let it go. You can't trust him and still be like, but what about this God? And what about that God? It's like, nope, I trust you in all things. You brought my brother Prince home. He did what he was supposed to do on this earth while he was here. Now he's everywhere. He's in the sun, the wind, the air. He's everywhere around us. I trust you. It was his time, and I'll see him, you know, on the other side. But yeah, I didn't want it to happen like that. I wanted to grow old with him sitting on the rocking chairs in North Carolina, sipping lemonade, talking about our adventures together. You know, I would have loved to have him come to my first concert. Like now when I do concerts and I'm doing this, but I know he's there. I know he's in me. He's all in me. I figured that out when I just did my show at BB King's. It was like, wow, it's like you know, it almost felt like I'm like, whoa, and I'm doing stuff that is straight him, everything he taught me and put in me. So, you know, he's still with us.
It is interesting when you talk what you just said about the kind of folks he liked. He was an avid news person.
Yeah, he was.
And so yeah, he knew who certain folks were and what they talked about.
Yeah.
That also rub off on you, where he was kind of like, yeah, you got to watch the news.
Oh yeah, and I definitely, I watch, you know, my friends joke at me now because the thing is, I like to be informed. I like to be, even when it's something I don't want to know, you know, I watch your show. I watch different networks. I read. You have to understand the world that you're living in. And, you know, like Nina Simone said, an artist's goal is to reflect the times that we're living in. So the stuff that I'm even writing now, the stuff for this album is written, but the stuff that I'm writing now is reflecting these times, and there's some turbulent stuff going on. And if you're not aware, you don't have a clue. How can you even write about? What are you writing about? Rims? What are you writing? You know, what is that? So you need to understand it about what's going on in the world. And he was highly intelligent. People don't understand how smart this man was. Prince was one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. And not just smart about music, but smart about religion. He was well informed about so many different things and wanted us to be as well. He's like, you need to read this book. You need to watch this movie. And he would like leave stuff in the dressing room, like, you need to watch this. It's your Secrets of Africa, this, you need to watch this, Shelby, top to bottom. Yeah, that's you. Cleopatra, she looked like you. She didn't look like that. She looked like this person. She looked like you, you know. And but he always wanted me to be the best me I could be, and he didn't want me to be no dummy. He was like, I need you to know what's going on, know what time it is. And he would always say that because he was a brother. He was like, you need to know what time it is, so people can't take advantage of you. You know, understand these contracts, understand this publishing, understand owning your masters, understand how all of this works so that you are the boss of you and that you're not subject to all this other stuff because you're uninformed, you know, and uneducated.
Do you think people in music, and certainly the general public, really have no idea about his brilliance?
I think they're learning now, which I love. I don't think they really knew. A lot of people didn't even know Prince was the musician that he was. Now the Purple family, they know, and the people that really follow Prince, but some people, they're like, oh yeah, Prince, you know, the singer and the woo-woo and the whatever and the fashion, but they don't understand the respect that he had from what we call our cats. All the bass players, they asked Eric Clapton, how does it feel to be the world's greatest guitarist? He was like, I don't know, ask Prince. That's real talk. When people when your peers like that respect what you do, and now people are finding out, Prince played this instrument, that instrument, this instrument. He wrote all of these songs. He had like 3 co-writes. You know, thank God I'm one of them. We co-wrote North Carolina, an ode to my home state. Anthony sang on it. I'm very happy with that. But people don't know, like, he would write a million songs. He would arrange the music. He'd do all this kind of stuff. He'd go in and make sure the fashion was right. He was a part of everything, make sure the lighting was this. He had a vision for what he wanted. And I think that now that his music is out, it's released, my nephews getting into it, and my niece, they're 10, 17, they're getting into, well, she's 18 now. Sorry, Kayla, she just turned 18. They're getting into it because it's available, and they're learning about my brother, our brother, and asking me things like, did you know, Prince, like fact checking me, like, did you know that Prince, did you know he won an Oscar and a Grammy, and he probably would have won a Tony if he had done a Broadway. Was my nephew, you know. So it's like people, they're getting more, they're getting to learn more about him, and I love that. I love how present he is, because that legacy will live on, and that's what it's about. The work that he did and exposing all of that music, he's gonna live on forever, and we're gonna make sure of it, and Shelby J is gonna make sure of it, that people understand and remember him for not how he died, but how he lived and what he left behind for all of us, and all the gifts that he gave us, and that roadmap that he laid out in his lyrics for us to know how to treat each other, how to love one another, how to just be good and be kind, and to what matters, you know, and how to educate ourselves about public events and what's happening in the world and politics. All of that is in his music. You can't say that about many other artists, where you look at all their music and they're touching on all of these really important things that really, really matter. He's not out here singing about mess. It's like, mess. He's like, don't get out there singing about no mess. There's enough of that. You have another role to play. And I'm like, okay. And so I love that they're learning about just how deep he was. You know, he was a deep brother, deep brother. When deep brothers call you deep, like you, Cornell, when those brothers, they're like, yo, Prince is deep. I'm like, when the deepest brothers I know call you deep, you deep.
Last question, why is this called 10?
Wow, 10 was my number. I was born on the 10th day. I'm a Virgo, September 10th. 10 has always been my number. My father was born on the 10th, and Prince was into numbers. His number was 7, and like with the 3121, a lot of people don't know that added up to 7. And Prince was so fly, I think the date of his death added up to 7. 421 even added up to 7. That's how fly he was. So with the numbers. So for me, 10 is Shelby's number. So the 0, always when I look at that, I see the sun. Because when I tell people through my music, I want to uplift, I want to motivate, I want to inspire. That's what I'm going to do. I want to be sunshine. I'm going to talk about love. I'm going to talk about life. I'm going to talk about the things that matter. But I want you to listen to my music and feel good. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to feel good about your life that you're living, and understand if you make a mistake, if you fall in a hole, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you keep it moving. And that's how I want people to feel when they listen to that music. So I want them to feel like they're a 10. When you tell people I'm a 10, it's like when they hold it up at the thing too, has, several different meanings. So it's like the best. I want people to listen to that music and feel like they are their best. And if they're not, then they can be, because we're all aspiring to that. We all got growing to do. But I'm gonna make sure my music is the soundtrack to that growth. So yeah, 10.
Shelby J.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Roland.
Thanks a bunch.
We brothers and sisters, forever.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you. And thank you for being gentle with my heart.
Not a problem.
I appreciate that. Whew.
We're clear. All right, let's get a photo.
Oh yeah, oh wait a minute. You don't